Welcome everyone to Tarot and the Moons. My name is Ingrid. Let's get started. Yep, we're here already. It's June 14th and we have a new moon. Remember that new moons are attunement points because the sun and the moon are characteristically in the same astrological sign during a new moon phase. And with this celestial balance, new moons are really a great time for us to set some new intentions, seed a new vision for yourself, or start something new that is going to expand as the moonlight expands and enters into the full moon phase. Now, some of you are new, and here's the deal. I have observed that when it comes to our emotions, and our moon represents our emotions, our emotional landscape collectively and individually, our moon is actually shifting between two celestial points. And for me, that's the celestial point between the astrological sign as seen in Vedic astrology, which they see this new moon in Taurus, and the astrological sign as seen through the lens of Western tropical astrology, which is seeing this new moon as being in the astrological sign of Gemini. Okay, so for me, these perspectives reveal some sort of progression in our consciousness. First, directly through grounding what is real and enduring, that's the Taurus energy, and then awakening to new ideas, new connections, and new possibilities, and that's Gemini. So for me, this new moon represents a union of the sun and the moon as a sacred moment where our spirit or our soul merges into darkness before the new light emerges. Esoterically, this is a seeding point, a beginning from which new intentions, as I mentioned before, new experiences, or your own state of awareness can grow and expand. Now, from a Vedic perspective, the new moon in Taurus is going to invite us to be in a collective inner stable self-worth space. It's sort of like a deeper relationship with what is truly what we value. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and this is the planetary force that is associated with beauty, harmony, love, devotion, refinement, and abundance. So while Taurus is often associated with the material world or material security, its inner engagement, the higher spiritual purpose, which is the lens of that esoteric astrology, is to transform your desire into an aspiration. So esoterically, Taurus is going to teach us that our deepest longing is not about possessions or these external achievements or titles or any of that BS, but rather that our deepest longing, your soul longing, is for a connection to the beauty and the truth that resides within all of us. I always look at the sunrise with my dog near the Brooklyn Bridge area. And sometimes, I was doing this thing where I was just always praying, and all of a sudden it hit me like, beauty, right? And this is tying it back to Taurus, but beauty, observing beauty. That's it. Just your observation of beauty is the prayer itself, to be still with beauty. So this new moon is going to encourage us to slow down, to become present, and to establish strong roots within yourself. So much so that you don't need to say the prayers, you become it, right? So rather than seeking fulfillment outside of yourself, Taurus is really asking us, you, me, to recognize the richness already available in our lives and to nurture what truly sustains us, right? And in your nurturing, in your observation of nurture, of nature and love around you, that becomes your prayer and your reflection. So emotionally, a Taurus new moon is going to create this sort of desire for comfort, for security, for steadiness. And many people might feel drawn to simplify your life. I was talking to my new boss, and we were talking about just removing things from our lives that we just don't need, and these are physical things. So this new moon might be a perfect time to downgrade your environment, to reconnect instead with nature, and spend time in peaceful environments and strengthen your relationship with that which is nature, which is the earth element itself, which is part of Taurus, right? So emotions are going to move very slowly for some of us under a Taurus new moon. And it's going to encourage us to reflect rather than react. At its highest expression, the Taurus energy is going to foster patience in us, calmness, reliability, and emotional resilience, right? So Taurus can also reveal these tendencies towards being stubborn or resisting change or attaching to, those things that you haven't used in 20 years, but you want to attach to it because it's a familiar thing, it's a familiar pattern. So the invitation for us in this new moon under the Taurus perspective, under this Vedic engagement, is to find security within yourself rather than trying to rely exclusively on this external circumstances or external things to find a sense of peace. Now, everybody knows, right before I press record for you guys, I go into my deep meditative state, and the word that came out was bright. And I almost wanted to return that word because I don't feel that the collectively what's bright, right? Like, I don't know. But I was like, bright, what is this? But after I did my meditation and I'm trying to sort of connect it with Taurus and connect it with Gemini, for me, the word bright carried this um, um, energy that bright does not appear as some sort of sudden flash of inspiration, but rather a steady and enduring light, sort of like what I was sharing with you, this beauty of me looking at the sunrise, right? It doesn't just appear like that. It's slow and it's steady and it's enduring and it rises, right? So that's the energy of bright that I got for the Taurus new moon. It's a glow. It's the glow of sort of like the lantern that remains lit throughout the darkness, illuminating the path for us one step at a time. And bright in Taurus, I think, represents clarity through simplicity and wisdom gained through experience of this quiet radiance that's going to emerge when we recognize our own inherent worth. So it is this brightness of gratitude, this brightness of presence, this brightness of the realization that abundance often exists in what we already have that is useful, right? So under this new moon, according to Vedic astrologers, this new moon in Taurus, that word bright is going to invite us to honor the beauty, stability, and sacredness of the present moment. Of the present moment. So, shifting now to this like Western perspective, the new moon is occurring according to Western tropical astrologers in Gemini. And this is a sign, excuse me, that is traditionally ruled by Mercury, this messenger god, the god of communication. Mercury's also governs thought, right? Learning, perception, language, the exchange of ideas, right? So esoterically, Gemini is here to represent the awakening of our consciousness through a relationship with communication. It's going to teach us that growth occurs when we remain open to multiple perspectives, not just one. When we recognize there is an interconnectedness to all of life. While Taurus is seeking truth through embodiment and experience, Gemini is seeking truth through sort of like inquiry or understanding, this energy of intellect, right? So the Gemini new moon is going to encourage us to explore these new ideas, engage in meaningful conversations, to expand our awareness through this learning and discovery. So Mercury's influence with this new moon is going to stimulate our mental activity, and it's going to invite us to be flexible with our thoughts. And it's also reminding us that wisdom is not about clinging to a single perspective, but rather to be curious and be willing to learn. Esoterically, Gemini is teaching us that communication becomes a sacred act when it fosters understanding, when it fosters connection, when it fosters a greater awareness. Words are bridges. And through this bridges through these bridges, right? We walk through them with this sort of knowledge or inspiration um, to get to the other side, to the other side of understanding, of wisdom, right? So our words are going to assist us in expanding our knowledge. So be careful with your words, guys, with this new moon energy, especially with this Gemini engagement. So emotionally, a Gemini new moon is going to affect us through, again, this mental processing. So for some people, you just might feel mentally exhausted. And that's when I'm inviting you to go out and engage with nature. And feelings are also with this Gemini moon might be a little bit more fluid, more adaptable, more influenced by information rather than just pure emotion, right? So many people might feel this sort of strong desire to talk through their emotions, to seek answers, to ask questions, and to connect with others. And it's at its highest expression in the esoteric languaging of astrology. Gemini encourages us to be emotionally flexible and to stay open. At its lowest expression, it's about being nervous, right? Overthinking, mental overwhelm, as I mentioned before, emotional inconsistencies. So you do actually want to be careful about those lower expressions of Gemini. And the lesson of Gemini is really to allow the mind to be illuminated through emotions without becoming trapped with this endless um, cycle of analysis, which the Gemini tends to do. Now, when I thought of that word bright in connection to Gemini, bright was symbolizing sort of like the illumination of the mind and this awakening of new possibilities within the mind. It is the spark of inspiration that arrives through a conversation or through a new idea or through even some sort of unexpected, fresh perspective. And so the Gemini's bright ness, right, resembles this sunlight reflecting sort of through our intellectual engagement, through our mind. And the bright means for me that it's going to sort of have this intellectual clarity, as well as this awareness, right? This illumination that's coming through the Gemini field, the Gemini archetypal patterns. So bright is encouraging us to remain open to learning, to trusting our own curiosity, to interacting with others through valuable insights, right? So if your words are not valuable, this is tying right back to that energy of Taurus, then it's best to not express it, right? Think about that, pause, use that energy of Taurus to pause, and then express through the power of the voice, through the power of words, which is the power of Gemini. So when these two perspectives are viewed together on June 14th, 2026, with this new moon, they are powerful synthesis. The Vedic Taurus influence is going to remind us again to become grounded in our values, with our inner stability, and honor what is enduring. And the Western Gemini influence is going to encourage us to sort of remain flexible and to have a different perspective to potentially new information that you might be getting. So Taurus is teaching us to root deeply, while Gemini is teaching us to reach outward, to be curious, right? So Taurus is all about building this strong foundation from within, and Gemini is inviting us to expand our awareness from without. And I think together they really create this beautiful balance between being and becoming, between stability and exploring, right? So the sacred keynote of this new moon for me is to be expressing yourself through this word bright. And in Taurus, bright is steady, is that steady light of self-worth, beauty, gratitude, inner peace. And in Gemini, bright is the illumination of the spark of awareness, of communication, of insight from within and from without. And these energies, I think, are both forming light, right? And it's sustaining us through their light, and it's sustaining us through this illuminating field that's going to help us discover a new horizon, which is the power of the new moon. And through Taurus, we're going to learn to cherish what is valuable. And through Gemini, we're going to learn to understand what is possible. Okay? Whew, I'm exhausted saying all that. But that's the energy of this new moon. There are gonna be moments where you're gonna feel super, super grounded, and there are gonna be other moments where your mind is just gonna go on nonstop analysis. And the key for you is to remember the word bright, and to also remember, is what I'm communicating valuable insight, valuable light? Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next slide where I'm going to share a little bit with you about who the archetypes are in Tarot that is being influenced by Venus, Taurus, right? Venus influences Taurus, and Mercury, which influences the energy of Gemini. All right. Let's move on. Once again, everyone, we have a new moon, and this new moon, according to Vedic astrologers, it's in the sign of Taurus, and according to Western tropical astrology, this is in the sign of Gemini. All right, so the players, who are they? Well, when we are speaking of this energy of Taurus, right, ruled by Venus, we are speaking of these three archetypes, which is the Empress, the Hierophant, and Justice. All three of these archetypes are ruled by the planet Venus. And they're also, Venus also rules Taurus, right? So first here we have this Empress energy, and this is my Arcanancian Tarot deck. This is a letterpress tarot deck, in case you don't know. So this particular energy is one that speaks of comfort, status, beauty, right? All of those elements that I mentioned before. And she is here to sort of connect us to the earth and remind us that abundance is unlimited, and it's an unlimited resource that you have from within you. And next we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant signifies traditional institutions, obviously religions, because this is the Pope energy, belief systems, knowledge, education. And the Hierophant is here to help us choose which tradition we want to remember and embrace, and how to go about it, right? Which means through study. And then, I don't know why I'm moving them aside. And then we have this beautiful energy of justice in the mix. And when we have justice, this is about karma. This is about the decisions you've made to maintain justice, law, and order in your life. And her message is, you get what you give, period. All right. So if I pull from one of these cards, we know that Mercury is in the mix. I'm going to put these here. And that Taurus is also part of this engagement. All right. That's when I get to your oracle readings, oracle and tarot readings. And now we go to Mercury, which rules Gemini. And Mercury also rules in Tarot. the archetype of the Magician and the Lover's card. So, when we're dealing with the Magician, it's about creativity, it's about action, power, self-employment, that smooth operator, the smooth talker. Creative visualization is part of the Magician's energy. And the Magician is really here to tell us that you have all the resources that you need. And those resources are expressed from within and also outside of you. And lastly, we have here the Lovers card. And the Lovers is all about these major choices, right? These sort of like pros and cons that we weigh within our situations, our lives, and being put to the test, right? Testing what is it that fuels you? What is it that nurtures you? It's about it, obviously, it's about relationships and romance and desires and connections and shared values as well. Okay. And the message for this particular like energy of the Lovers is that your personal value system will always lead you to love, or it might lead you down the wrong path by making the wrong choices if your value systems are not coming from the heart. All right. So if I choose one of these two cards, we know that Mercury is in the mix and that it's ruled by and sorry, and the Magician and the Lovers are in the mix as well, right? And what did I want to say? And Gemini is in the mix. That's what I wanted to say. Sometimes, guys, it just doesn't flow. All right, in the next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about um, the cards that we're going to use, but we are going to start from Taurus and make our way around. No, excuse me, we're going to start from Gemini and make our way around to Taurus. And we're ready to go. Let's just go to the next segment. So I'm going to be using this beautiful intention cards. This is from Claudia. I'm going to put her little Etsy page on the description of this video. And it came in this cute little bag with a little stand and a marker for you to write your intentions on the back. And I thought it was such a beautiful sort of card to sort of play, because number one, there's 12 of them exactly, and number two, it's all about intention setting. So yeah, we're going to use that as our oracle, and we're also going to use the Radiant Wilds tarot card deck because it's bright, and it reminded me of the word that came up during my meditation for this particular offering. So here we go. All right. When I did shuffle them before, I'm just shuffling them again very lightly here. So Gemini, what do we have here? Oh, and yeah, that was it. Gemini, what do we have here? We have oh no, we have the Hierophant. Oh my goodness. Right off the bat, your energy is going into the Taurus field, which is beautiful, Gemini. So if you're a Gemini energy here, your engagement is very balanced for this new moon. And what I'm getting here with this Hierophant energy is that number one, there's an element of spiritual protection. Let me just pull this up for you. This is I'm just showing that for identification purposes or only, but there's an element of spiritual protection that's here for you during this new moon period. And you're very much being guided by some higher power, by some higher knowledge, by some higher wisdom that's coming your way. All right. My energy is telling me to just continue to pick the Hierophant card. But I've never actually picked two of the same cards, but I'm not gonna pick another card because that's what, well, I'll just pick the Hierophant card then, because I'm just really gravitating towards this really strong energy of spiritual protection and spiritual power that's coming your way during this new moon period. Let's see what the Oracle says. Good hair day. For me, this is like good mind time, right? Like your mind is very grounded. It's in the spiritual realm. It's in the space of wanting or needing or desiring this level of triangular protection, right? So this is what the message is for you. And let's see. And this is beautiful because you've got this horse energy, right? That's coming through. So there's some sort of movement that's happening for you during this time period. And it is a movement that's moving your spirit, that's moving your soul, that's moving you toward a higher knowledge, a higher frequency, one that you have actually been desiring, this level of peace, this level of tranquility, this level of knowing that your days are good ahead. What a beautiful energy. That was Gemini. All right, let's move on to, let's put this here, and then we have Cancer. Let's see what your card is, Cancer, and you've got the Ten of Cups. I immediately was gravitating towards this energy of the lovers, right? So the Ten of Cups is the happy family. It's also generational. It's also going back through the ancestors, right? And this is either time for you to make some right choices. Oh, I'm going to knock all of these down. Let me put these up here a little bit. Um, Either it's a time for you to start making some right choices or good choices or loving choices for yourself, but remembering the family, remembering to connect. This might also connect to this Hierophant energy a little bit, but it's about you having to make a choice that has to do with the happy family. All right? Oh, almost left without your beautiful card. Let's see what you've got with love, the lover's card, right? And you saw me shuffling, and I'm not even looking as to see what it is, but it's like this energy of the lover's card, doing things, choosing things for love, with love, understanding also that your ancestors have done the same and they made choices with love. Look at this, beautiful. I mean, it's just, there's just such an abundance that's coming your way for those of you with Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. I am focusing, by the way, on the moon sign, the emotional aspect of it, but you can look at your ascendant and your ascendant and your sun sign to see what story is unfolding for you with this upcoming new moon. So for you, Cancer babies, if you choose and make the loving choice, there's abundance here for you. There's so much juiciness that's coming your way by you choosing the loving choice, by making the loving choice for yourself. Make the choice from the heart, not from the mind, right? I know I chose this Gemini energy, but this is what I'm getting, that the mind needs to soften and drop down to the heart center to make these loving choices. In other words, stop over analyzing. Make the choice that's loving for yourself. Beautiful. Cancer. And Leo, you're up next. Leo, you've got the High Priestess. Ooh, we've got some mystery here. I am being drawn to this energy of the Magician. So with the High Priestess, we have this energy that's not very clear. And the High Priestess always says, rely on your instincts, rely on your inner power. We're talking to the Leo energies here. Rely on your inner power and know that within you know the answers, and this is going to require some skills from your end, right? So the Leos, sometimes you tend to not want to work very hard. Just keeping it real, because you think, well, I'm fantastic, I could just do wing it. People are going to look at me and I could just wing it. Well, the High Priestess is telling you, slow down a little bit, do a little bit of analysis here, and let's pull from within some new skill sets that are going to really benefit your power to intuit, your power of perception, your power to see your own future in that brighter light that you know you can stand in, okay? And oh, I almost forgot. I keep forgetting this beautiful engagement. So let's see what you've got. And you've got fluid. I love that. Maybe what you need to do is to be more fluid with yourself and to be in that space where you are sort of allowing the magic and right, this is the magician, allowing the magic to flow easily into your life. Let's see what this is. Oh, beautiful. By the way, Claudia is a photographer, and that's my hand holding quite a unique crystal, which I can't remember, but it was over this reflective pool. And I think I'm just awkward with photos, and she had an ability to sort of direct how to place my hand so that the light source, that brightness, hit the right angle for her to take this photograph. And I feel like there's some sort of skill sets, Leo, that you need to sort of learn in order to direct your inner energy toward that right je ne sais quoi, that right angle that will allow you to be showcased in the brightest light. Okay? And next we have, oops. We have Virgo, sun, moon, or rising. And you've got the magician. Wow, this is amazing. You guys are really pulling into, not you guys, we collectively are really tapping into this new moon. So it's feeling like very positive if we're all tapping into the higher frequencies of this new moon. So here, the new moon is represented for the Virgo as this illumination point and inspiration that's actually coming from this new moon itself. You can even see the new moon moving up to that full moon. So really utilize your own magic to sort of manifest what you want, to write those intentions and allow it to be influenced and inspired by the energy of the moon. This is very powerful for me. And I almost feel like I did with the first one with the Hierophant, I almost feel like not pulling another card except that energy of the magician because it's so strongly showcased here for the Virgo energy. And by the way, Virgo, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to the details. You tend to not go into dream state a lot actually, but pay attention to them when you do get them because the magician is communicating something from the subconscious realm, your emotional space for this new moon. Okay. And your card is grow. So there's a potential here. And I almost, this energy of allowing the illumination, allowing the light, allowing the brightness to literally grow during this time period, this 2.5 week time period between now and that full moon that's coming up in July. So allow the expansion to occur. Oh, beautiful. This is earth energy, very grounded, very much the Virgo energy right here. So water your intentions, water your ideas, water your magic, nurture it, feed it so that you can see it grow and expand. But begin now during this new moon period, okay? That was a beautiful reading for Virgo, sun, moon, or rising. All right, and now we have the Libra babies. What do you have? And you've got the devil. Oh my goodness, Libra, you've not only do you have to set new intentions, but you have to set new intentions to release that thing that keeps you down, that weighs you down. This is all about your choices. What choices are you making, Libra? Where are you going right? Where are you going wrong? Are these choices coming from your heart center or is it coming from the space of the intellect, right? And these are not about choices that you've made in the past. This is about the choices that you will be making from this new moon point to the full moon. Moving forward, make these choices so that you are doing it from a loving space versus a challenging one, right? And release the bondage, Release this false perception that you have that you're stuck or that you can't move or that you can't flow into something bigger and greater for yourself. Okay? So choose wisely, Libras. And what is your lightness? Wow. So in the face of darkness, what you need to do is choose light. You need to always choose light. Showcase the lightness within yourself. Showcase the lightness outside of yourself. Let's see what the image is. Look at that. It almost looks the same. It almost has those green tones, right? So go into nature. You're going to find the light in nature. You're going to remember that you are an illuminated field in nature. And this is going to offset this false belief system of you feeling trapped. All right. Next we have Sun, Moon, or Rising Scorpio. Let's see what you've got. You've got the Nine of Swords. So for me, this Nine of Swords is this heavier energy of your mind, right? Of feeling a little bit too um stationary to what are you worried about? What are you concerned about? Justice came through because of this sword, right? So are there actions that you've taken that you are not happy with? Are there actions that you've taken that is making you worried? If so, justice is saying it's going to be okay. Things are going to be balanced. It will work out. Justice will be served. For whatever reason, this is happening because it's part of your karmic path. It's part of the path you're supposed to be taking on. All right? So don't get so bogged down with these worrisome thoughts and remember that it's part of the karmic cycle. It's a nine energy, so it's part of the humanitarian aspect that you have to give back, but it's also connected to the past, right? It's also a field connected to the past. Let's see what your guidance is. Into the woods. So you might be feeling that you're going into the woods, right? Like with your emotions, you might be feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to get lost out there. What's going to happen? But remember that you have these swords. Remember that you have the ability to clear the path, to clear what you cannot see. Use your intellect, quiet the mind, go into meditation, right? So that you can see clearly what's ahead. Oh, this is beautiful. Into the woods. I love this. This actually doesn't feel as overwhelming, right? Once you have this clear path ahead. And you will, and you do, because you've got this energy of the swords, right? So sometimes we're up at night thinking, overthinking. Remember that Gemini energy, overthinking, and you're being asked to go into that field of the Taurus and ground your energy with by going into nature itself, but also remembering that you have the sword to clear the path forward. Nice. Okay, next we have Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Let's see what you've got. And you've got the Nine of Pentacles. So again, this Nine of Pentacles energy, this nine energy coming in a lot for a lot of people. This is all about the past. This is all about family. This is all about, and I'm being drawn here to the Hierophant. This is all about the tradition within you, right? And how have you sort of balanced this dichotomy of what you want and what's traditional? What you've been told you should have, what you've been told you should be versus what you want to be, how you want to live, right? So you've balanced it really well, and going into this new moon, you actually are leaning toward looking at family from a different value perspective. Interesting. And your word is darkness, right? So don't be afraid to look in the dark. This is a little bit of shadow work for the Sagittarius energy. Don't be afraid to look at the dark. Don't be afraid to look at the past. It's only in looking at the past that you will rise like the phoenix. And beautiful, right? You get this blank slate. You get to start again. You get to begin again. You get to set this intention What is it that you really truly desire? And don't forget to incorporate some of the value systems that you've been taught from the family, from tradition. Beautiful. And there's abundance waiting for you there if you decide to go into a little bit of that shadow work. All right. Next we have, oops, did I take? Yeah, Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising signs. What do you have? And you have the Two of Swords. So for me, Capricorn, the Two of Swords is really symbolizing think before you act. Think before you move forward. Think and see clearly what it is that you desire, right? So before you move forward, is it a loving choice? Is it a loving thought? Is it loving for you? Okay. And your word is hug. Oh, beautiful. Look at how she represented hug. It's this weave that's happening through the cloth, through a material engagement. So there's an aspect of you here that hasn't fully considered your safety, your home, where you feel comfort, right? Go into that space of what makes you comfortable, what makes you feel like loving, that you've made a loving choice. It's homey, it's warm, it's cozy, right? That feeling of hug before you make a decision on how to move forward in whatever it is that's coming your way during this new moon period. Nice one. All right, next we have the energy of Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. And Aquarius, you've got this Eight of Pentacles. You're hard at work. You're simply hard at work during this new moon period. And I want you to also take a break. You know what I mean? I am being drawn to the Empress energy because you're hard at work creating your empire. And I also think that, the Empress, she's successful not because she works hard. She's successful because she knows how to balance work and life. She knows who is deserving of her work and who is not. And she knows when to start working and when to not, right? So for you, I would say I would caution you. It's great that you're looking at the bigger picture of your company, your business, etc. But I would also caution you to take those moments and be in the element of earth. The Empress represents the mother, the earth element, the earth energy, right? So be in the space of earth by taking some refuge and some nurturing sort of groundedness in earth, and don't spend so much time with that beaming sun on you as you work, work, work. All right. So definitely take a break. Let's see what your words are here, connecting the dots. So for me, I feel like connecting the dots, which is what you're doing here. You're working really hard connecting the dots, but part of that has to include the earth. Part of that is about grounding within the earth itself, okay? Oh my God, how beautiful. I almost felt like there was an illumination here, right? Remember that word that came through, bright. So there's a brightness here that's coming that you're going to see. You're not even seeing the sun. You're not enjoying the outdoors. You're not enjoying nature because you're busy working. And I feel like once you are out in nature, you're going to get some inspiration. Remember, the Empress works, but she doesn't work hard. She works smart, okay? So if you're finding yourself struggling a little bit, go out into nature and you're going to find the inspiration that you need, and even the motivation that you need to do this a little easier, to do the work a little easier. Okay, next we have Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, and your card is the Seven of Pentacles. Wow. So the Seven of Pentacles is kind of leaving me feeling like you're not having a lot of faith, and I'm gravitating toward the Hierophant here. You're not having a lot of faith in what you can accomplish. You're not having a lot of faith in what you are creating, right? And sometimes when we lack faith or when we're working to create something bigger in our lives, it's because we haven't stopped to pray. We haven't stopped to be in the space of gratitude, right? So for those of you with Pisces, just stop and be in the space of gratitude. A lot of you are actually getting this energy to pause. And it's funny because Mercury also rules the Hierophant, which is the pause point, but I didn't include it because the energy of the Hermit is more chironic to me, but I didn't. But I am getting this. I'm sharing this because I am getting this feeling of a pause point for you, Pisces, to pause and be in that space of gratitude, okay? And you have shit happens, right? So yeah, you're in an uncomfortable situation. You're questioning what it is that you did. You're questioning your stability in finances and what you're doing. But you know, shit happens. And when shit happens in our lives, just lean into prayer, into tradition, into gratitude, into thankfulness. Lean into that energy and you're going to be just fine because there's a lot of love here. Okay? It may seem difficult, but there's so much love that you can't see it because you're too busy worrying about how to have faith in what you're creating. And this is, of course, shit. And this is, you know what this reminds me of? Like utilize what you have and use it to feed and nurture something else, right? To feed and nurture. And this has to do with understanding that there's utilization for everything, right? For everything. We just have to let go of the reins and let God take control because nature has a way to turn everything into gold and usefulness. All right. Next we have Aries, sun, moon, or rising. What do we have for Aries? And we've got the Six of Pentacles. This feels very much about it's a different type of nurturing. It's an environment that you've never been in, but you are being nurtured in that environment. There is illumination in that environment, and you are being protected in that environment. So this is coming off of the new moon. And I feel the energy of karma also being part of this engagement for you, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So for me, as long as you continue to nurture yourself, your outer world, your environment will be nurtured. And this is whatever's happening for you for this new moon period, it is karmic. So hang in there because it's quite beautiful and you can't see it yet, but you are in a safari-like environment with an amazing level of experience coming your way. And your word is Olympic Games. Yeah, man, you're in it for the game. I feel like there's preparation here for you that you need to do. You have to strengthen the muscle, right, within yourself to move forward. You're preparing for the Olympic Games. Take one step at a time. One baby step at a time, and you'll make it to the finish line. All right? That was Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. And last but not least, we've got Taurus. What is your energy? It is the Tower. So things are going to feel like your foundations are rocky. You have to build again. You have to create again. You have to do something again. So just make sure that if you're building something, make sure that you are creating a solid foundation for yourself. And how do we do that? Don't betray yourself. Make the loving choice. Always choose wisely by choosing what it is that you want, you desire, versus what it is that you're told you have to have. Okay? Nobody is bossing you around, Taurus. Absolutely nobody. So the very idea that you would rely on someone else rather than your own intuition to make the choices that you want could be a sign of betrayal. Don't betray your own love. Okay? And you have fluffy. Yeah, maybe just don't be fluffy, right? Decide, make a decision, make a choice, and then go for it. Jump. Be in that space of illumination. Be in the space of empowerment. Okay, don't be in that space of fluffy. And if you're going to be in the space of fluffy, well then enjoy the fluffiness, right? Enjoy the softness of the experience rather than thinking you have to rebuild something. Because sometimes things fall apart in order for us to move forward and be in this fluffy space where we're not controlling every little brick that we're building, okay? Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, this is this air energy, this idea of perhaps the mental state being thinking in the space of the tower versus thinking in the space of love and choices that are up ahead. So look up, keep looking up, because whatever was in the past, that's over. That's done with. All right, everyone, that was our new moon tarot and oracle reading. I'll catch you on the full moon, and until next time, stay safe, everyone. Love ya. Bye.